G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to DCS World with Mags, and welcome aboard the UH-1H Huey on the Persian Gulf map. Now today's mission is something a little bit different. We are not actually going to be doing any active combat in this one. Our mission for today is one of retrieval and rescue. We are playing a Medivac helo. The mission itself is kind of a continuation of the last one that I built. Following the strikes on La Air Force Base and the push towards Hamoud Abbasi, Iranian forces have counterattacked from the west, pushing NATO forces all the way down the southern coast of Iran towards Gazir, where the FOB is currently based. Now, while this push along the southern coast has been stalled, it hasn't been pushed back yet, with the primary point of conflict being centered around the coastal town of Mk.II. This has allowed Iranian special forces to attack and set ablaze the oil platforms on the southern coast. As the sun is coming up, a number of Medivac units are heading into the AO to assist and extract critically wounded forces and to assist civilians if needed. Our primary mission for this flight is to head to the now burning oil derricks on the southern coast and assess them. It's likely that the rigs are too far gone, but we are to provide rescue for trapped personnel if we can and return them to the USS Ford, an Oliver Hazard Perry class frigate that has been detached from the Sandisk battle group to assist the derricks and to provide support for the south coast. We are also to expect a possible mission change as we are very close to the town of Mk.II. A flight of 4 Cobra attack helicopters will be providing us with escort to the rigs. Their objective is to engage any Iranian forces that may still be around the rigs and then to head north and provide assistance on the coast. Hornet flights from the Stennis will be flying CAP as the airspace is not currently secure, and we should also expect CAS flights to be entering and leaving the area regularly so to avoid getting in their way. Now ideally we'll be running most of our flights out of the USS Ford, however the Stennis battle group is our secondary landing point. It's acting as a fuel stop for Medivac and other helicopter support units while the runways secured on the Iranian south coast are currently under threat. So, a relatively straightforward mission. Everything's gone to hell and our job is to try and get the wounded the hell out of the area now we have, or at least we're starting to get some daylight to actually do it in. Now at first it may seem a little bit odd to have a UH-1H in a Persian Gulf campaign, however, it's not as odd as you would think. The H-model Hueys made a name for themselves in the Vietnam War, of course. However, they weren't retired from service, they were just too bloody reliable, and there was too many of them and they were too easy to maintain. So a few of them were always kept around, and they continued their service right into the Gulf War. And this is the USS Ford. It's currently making its way towards the oil platforms at about 25 knots. It is our intended finish mission point. We won't have to fly this far out to get to her though. By the time we've gone through our mission sets, she will be much closer to the shoreline. But anyways, as I was saying, the Huey, the UH-1H model in particular, now it obviously wasn't really serviceable as a frontline aircraft by that point. However, it was deployed in the Gulf War as a support platform. Primarily, the UH-1H in the Gulf War acted as a medical evacuation transport, but it did also do some supply missions, some command and control, and some reconnaissance missions, although usually only in low-threat areas. The H models, of course, weren't the only Hueys deployed into the Gulf War. There were the V and N models, with the V models serving alongside the H models with the US Army, while the United States Marine Corps tended to deploy the twin-engine UH-1N models. Overall, the H models in the Gulf performed well considering their age, and while the role wasn't quite as prestigious as a time in Vietnam, the fact that the, at the time, 31-year-old workhorse was still seeing duty in combat zones says a lot about the design. But anyways, at this point we are closing on around 15 kilometers from the rightmost oil derrick, and we're starting to see our Cobra attack helicopter escort is starting to break off. Now the reason for that is the Cobras have actually spotted activity over that easternmost oil derrick. They're moving over to investigate and to engage if necessary, and from there they will proceed on the rest of their mission, heading to the coastline to begin engaging targets across the southern coast. So from this point in, we are on our own. So where to proceed to the oil derrick in the far west? We've still got about 5 or 6 minutes worth of flight time before we can even get close enough to it to begin an inspection. But via the magic of editing, we can trim that down. Now in the background there, we can see the easternmost derrick. Now if you look closely, you'll see tracer fire coming off it as the Cobras are moving in to attack the boats that are surrounding the base of that derrick at this time, and as they of course begin to perform strikes against the town of Mk.II, which is almost directly north of that particular derrick. So this is Rig 1, this is the westernmost platform, and as we can see from here, things are not looking great for this platform. It's pretty much completely torched at this time. Now remember, our main mission here is recon, then rescue. So our first job is to have a look at the platform, see whether or not the platforms need our aid, see whether or not it's possible to even render aid. You know, if you can't land, then there are limits to what you can do, and if you can't even get close to the platform due to the fire, well then there is absolutely nothing you can do. So recon first, then rescue if it is clear enough to get in, and that is not looking promising. Co-pilot, looks like the fire has taken the deck on this one, but I can see a number of civilian small boats at the base. It looks like they are collecting survivors. I'll let command know there are civvies performing rescues, head to the middle rig. So pretty much nothing we can do at this one, so time to bring the nose of this bird around and head for rig number 3. Now we do have to be aware as we're closing in on the second rig that from this position we're actually over Iranian controlled territory on the southern coast. We're clearly perfectly fine here, but if we get much closer to the coastline itself and there are units in the area, they are likely going to shoot at us and we could get taken down. Basically, unless we have orders to go near that coastline, the best thing to do is not go near that coastline. So at this point we're about 3 kilometers out of the middle rig, and co-pilot A-10C's inbound on the rigs and Mk.II. Close air support has arrived. Now the A-10s are going to make a pass over the top of the rigs to clean up anything that the Cobras missed on their pass before they head down and start hunting down Iranian armor that is pushing down towards the combat point at Mk.II. Now it does look like we're safe to land on this rig, so we begin slowing it up. However, co-pilot, we have a new mission. Head north to the town of Mk.II. A detachment of USMC is currently engaged there and have wounded. The Ford has detached part of its escort to assist this rig, although it looks like they have the fires under control anyway. And it looks like I need to do a little bit of a spell check on that. Anyways, the rigs are no longer our problem, so it's time to head into Mk.II, which is, well, the place where all the smoke's billowing out of at the moment. Now this is an active combat zone. There is Iranian troops, there is USMC troops, Abrams, T-72s are in the area, and the entire area is under active artillery attack. It is not a nice place to be. But we're going to go there anyway, and the A-10s look like they have detected targets around Rig 3. Now we have to be cautious here because we do have to go past Rig 3 in order to get to our objective. So we do have to be careful and not get too close because, well, 30mm rounds once they've left the barrel are nobody's friend. And just judging from the splash there in the water, the A-10s may have actually engaged with Mavericks. So once again, the town of Mk.II is split pretty much down the centre, with Iranian forces to the west and US NATO forces to the east. Important to keep this in mind because we do not... Ooh, something's having a go out there. We do not want to cross over the west side of the town on our approach. We'll be flying straight over hostile troops and they will engage us. So we're going to head down the coast and swing in at the rear of the town and wait for them to pop smoke so we can find out where we've got to put this down to do the pickup. Now Uzi 1 is the A-10, so they've just encountered one of the anti-aircraft sites. And it looks like they've managed to locate the armour. And we've also been spotted by the Marine Force on the ground. They're popping green smoke for us and giving us a warning to expect small arms fire over the west side of the town, and that artillery is inbound. Now, the artillery here is no joke. The first time I tried to complete this mission after playing it, I actually failed 10 minutes in, because the troops that I was meant to pick up were actually hit by artillery while I was still inspecting the oil rigs. And it's also entirely possible that I could be hit by artillery while my helicopter is on the ground and I'm performing this pickup. I generally don't build safety nets into my missions. Things can and will go wrong intentionally. So we've got the green smoke anyway, it's just past this burning building. Zero visibility on approach. We probably should have circled around the other side, but I decided to go straight in. And hit on the left hand side, small arms fire, so roll out. Try and bleed off some altitude. And we just got a message from the guys at the landing zone letting us know that they are right there. We've just got to put it down. I think the problem here is I came in a little bit too high and they pegged me, so going to bring it right down to the deck. Careful not to run into the burning building, swing it around and put it down right on the smoke. Unfortunately, it appears the trigger to actually put the crew in the back of the Huey is still not currently working, but the pickup has been completed, so it's time to get out of here, and our extraction point is the USS Ford. Now, it has been moving towards the oil derricks the entire time we've been out here, so we're going to head off east to the town to make sure we're clear of any potential hostile fire, and then start heading south past the rig. Once we're down past the rig, we're going to contact the Ford directly and get a heading to actually go and find her. Alright, so at this point we are just past rig 3, we're far enough out now, it's time to find out where the hell the Ford is. So communications menu open, ATC, Oliver Hazard Perry, that's our closest, and we're going to request an inbound. Now our current heading is around 153. And the Perry is at 144, so we've got to turn ourselves left. And she doesn't sound like she's all that far out. And of course, she really wasn't, and there she is. So, now what we're going to do is come in for landing. I've obviously got all the lights on at this point. Starting to drop altitude. For the moment, cannot request landing. So we're just going to do a curved descent down to the back of the frigate, and we should be good to land. Now, had I been paying a little bit more attention at this point, rather than just feeling the Huey in descent, I probably would have noticed something else that's going on in the background at the moment that will become very obvious in just a moment, and is actually going to be quite a problem. But I didn't notice it quite straight away. So the Oliver Hazard Perry has a single helipad on the back of the frigate. Pretty standard, nothing particularly special about it. Still not quite close enough to request landing at this point. It's really only built for one helicopter. If you get very, very, very creative and you're very careful on the stick, you can put 2 down on the back of it. There is enough room that if you offset them, you can land 2 Hueys side by side, or a Huey and a Cobra side by side, without the rotor impacting the other helo. It's not easy to do, but you can do it. I'm sure a few of you have just spotted a little problem that I'm about to start having at this point, however. You see, those Cobras that were escorting me at the start of the mission, they've completed their mission and they've got their return to base orders. Now, they were supposed to return to the Stennis battle group, but for some reason these two, which look like they may have taken damage, decided that they would be best to emergency head for the Ford. That's 2 Cobras going in on 1 landing pad, and that's where I need to be, and there's not much I can do about that at this point. So I'm not going to be able to put down on the Ford in this mission. Thankfully, it's not the only place to put down to end the mission, so I'm just going to abort the inbound on the Ford. I'll let the Cobras fight over the pad. We're going to head back to the Stennis battle group. Again, this was one of those things that wasn't meant to happen, but it did. Now, of course, we're not going to put down on the Stennis. That would just be silly in a Huey. It was silly enough that I had to do it the first time. We're instead going to put down on the Tarawa. Besides, the Stennis is currently recovering Hornets, so I don't particularly want to get in their way. Now, this was actually oddly difficult to do. The carrier fleet's currently moving at around 25 knots. Now, it's moving at this speed because it's launching and recovering aircraft, but it's also going straight into a headwind, which, as you can see from the seas, is a fairly reasonable one. So the Huey, well, it didn't exactly want to play nice, although I didn't really have too much of a drama putting it down, but it wasn't as smooth as I would have liked. Anyways, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you very much for watching. I've clearly got a few extra things that I would like to do to this mission before I make it live, but I am planning on making this one live for the Huey pilots out there for something that's a little bit non-combat. I will be starting to build some maps on Caucasus very soon as well, for those that don't have the Persian Gulf map. Anyways, ladies and gents, once again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. Links in the video description down below for my social media, my Twitch, and my Patreon if you'd like to support the channel. And as always, remember to click that like button, share, and subscribe if you would like to see more. And until next time, take care.